Here we are on an absolutely beautiful day at Steinway Lyngdorf in Skive, Denmark. We're excited because not only are we lucky enough to be able to get the factory tour from the people who really make and design all the products, but we're happy to have you join us. I'm Joe. Let's dig in. So here we are in the Steinway Lyngdorf factory. We're going to do a little bit of a factory tour with Thomas. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Yep.
You're both the CEO and CTO, the Chief Technical Officer of the company, and really therefore in a good position to be able to show us the quality of the approach that they're taking here at Steinway and Lyngdorf to make sure that the product winds up at the quality level that you expect from something that's absolutely premium.
This is our development department, and what we have here is our timeline. As you can see, we started in 2005, actually down close to the hotel where you are staying right now.
Okay.
So everything above the line is Lyngdorf, and everything below the line is Steinway. So you can see we started with some Lyngdorf, then came Steinway, and then there's a big gap where nothing happened in Lyngdorf. And then in 2013, we said, hey, everybody stop making CD players, let's make CD players. So we did that in the new design. You can sort of see this is where the new design starts. So that was in 13. And this is the Millennium amplifier, which was basically development of the fully digital amplification technology that Peter Lyngdorf financed. And as you can see here, I have Hi-Fi Choice from 1998, where it's released the world's first digital amplifier. And that is the technology that we're still using today. Not in exactly the same format, but the concept is still the same. So as we saw on the timeline before, we started to make CD players when nobody else was making them anymore. And one of the problems of actually making a CD nowadays is that there's not a lot of drives available anymore, because CDs, of course, is not the new thing on the block. So we had to dig deep to find a drive that was actually a Red Book CD drive and not a DVD drive or a Blu-ray drive or something. So this is one of the very few exceptions where we have not done everything in this product, because the drive and the drive control is done by the different company, because that part of it, of controlling the laser and everything, is something that these ex-Philips people have been doing for a very long time, and they have developed this product, these boards for us. So yeah, that's one of the exceptions of making everything ourselves.
If you're enjoying this trip with us here in Denmark, please like and subscribe. That helps us out a ton. Leave a comment down below. We love getting to know our audience.
And of course, what actually happens when you spin the wheel is that we vary the voltage available to the output stage. So it's not a digital attenuation that we're doing. It's actually moving energy to and from the output stage. So when you turn down, there's a lot of energy available there that we have to move, and we have to move it relatively quickly, because people want the reaction to be, snappy. But there's a lot of energy that we then move back to the input side to reuse it next time you turn it up again.
So just to give a little practical in what we're talking about with volume controls, that discussion, look at the back of these two volume controls. This one, a more standard approach to volume. And you can see, just by looking at the parts and the sophistication of this, remember that an amplifier is going to amplify whatever you tell it to amplify. If it isn't amplifying signal, it's amplifying noise. Here's a much more sophisticated approach. It not only feels good, it sounds better.
But here we have all the offices of the engineers that we have here. So we have digital signal processing software, we have embedded software, we have Linux software. We make our own apps, we make web pages for the products to set them up. And of course, decoding of Dolby, DTS, and all of this stuff. So basically making a multi-channel. So we have all of that here, and of course, we do almost all of our development ourselves, not because we absolutely want to, but it just always ends up that with whatever you can buy off the shelf maybe ticks all the right boxes, but maybe it can only do one thing at a time or something, where we want it all the time. So often we end up doing it ourselves to make sure that we have the flexibility and us also can reuse it in other platforms. And of course, the mechanical design is also done here, and not only the chassis and the front panels, but also all the packing materials and show booth or whatever you use during a year of exhibiting and producing. In here we have a testing room for multi-channel. Of course, the multi-channel is a very big part of what we do and takes a lot of support. Going from stereo to multi-channel is, quadruples the amount of support you have to give. And I think a lot of companies don't really realize that, but the knowledge of multi-channel is so much less, and the knowledge required is so much more to get that to really work. So we have a room in here where we can play with both analog and Dante and everything in between. Yeah, so here you see the speakers are assembled here. You see the Model Ds are here, and we get the cabinets from where you've just been in Skive Design, and where we produce our own cabinets, and then all the rest of the parts are coming from many different places depending on what is needed. Most of our drivers are custom made for us because if you try to source a 10-inch or 12-inch woofer, it's mostly made for a subwoofer application. But we need very light speakers and drivers. And you don't need that in a subwoofer application typically.
So we have these four workstations for speakers here, which is for Lyngdorf and for Steinway. So when you come back next week, it might be different products. So it's not a factory line, a production line. It's basically working here and there, and depending on the day, on the week, it's different products, different kind of speakers.
So this is actually a Steinway Model A, and this is the way it ships with these what look like sort of odd side panels attached to it that get unbolted here. And the reasoning, of course, is that it's a fairly large and heavy product that you don't want to have it arrive damaged. You want to have it arrive intact. And so the packing material, essentially, if you should lose or throw away the packing material, is pretty expensive to replace because it's so well done in the first place. It's not just a simple, couple pieces of foam on the corners and that's how it ships. They want it to arrive at you intact. Of course, the speaker needs some layer of protection. And obviously, you want as little interference in between the drivers and you, the listener, as possible. So this is really a pretty innovative approach, but this all gets done by hand. So an interesting part about the approach here at Steinway Lyngdorf is that they can not only offer all the products that are sort of standard in the line, if you will, but other products that are customed for a specific application. And this is just something that you don't find with most manufacturers because it's not worth it for them to try to do something that is, essentially a one-off, I guess. But they do custom work here, and I can tell you that this one is a very heavy and very solidly done product that you won't see in the standard catalog.
So this is where we assemble all the electronics. Of course, all of it is developed and drawn by us, but we get it manufactured all over the world. So the aluminium parts can be either here from Denmark or from Taiwan. The electronics is normally mounted in Thailand, can also be local in this town. And then we get everything here, and then we mount all the products here. After that, we go down here where we test them and we put them into burn-in. And let's go down and have a look at that. Yeah, so for us, we test all products 100%, not just 1 out of 10, but all of them have been through this. So we test them here using audio precision equipment, which is sort of the standard within audio. And then after that, they go into this burn-in area. And here we do burn-in for either 24 hours or 48 hours. And we do this to catch any errors. If you know anything about electronics, you'll know that if an electronic component fails, it's usually within the first seconds of its lifetime. Because we test the boards when they have just been mounted, we normally get around that already there. But when they have been mounted, something can happen to them, or a lot of PCBs actually, if they have any errors, it can stem from the actual PCB board itself. Not from the component, but the PCB board. Because if you buy low quality PCB boards, when you mount the components, when you solder them, it gets heated up to 200 and something degrees. And that is actually the part of the lifetime of the component where it has the most mechanical stress because it gets heated so much. And if the PCB is expanding a lot or getting almost liquidized, it stresses mechanically the component, and that can cause errors. So another thing that can happen is the vias that go between the layers in a PCB board. Normally you can have 2 layers, you can have 4, 6, sometimes 10 layers, and you need to have signals between the layers. And you'd use vias to do that, which is like a hole through the board. And if the boards are not of a decent quality, when you heat up the board, these vias can go like this. So that means when you test the board, when it's cold, everything is working. When it heats up, it does like this, and it stops working. And then it cools down again, you test it again, now it's working again. So that's why we do these. We go through these cycles of heating up the products, cooling them down, heating up. Everything is controlled by a PC and putting in some signals in there. And here you see our 8-channel amplifier, which has the purifier output stage, so 8 times 400 watt. And it has our power supply in there, what we call Power Perfect technology. So this is a 3.2 kilowatt power supply that we have in there. But as I said before, if you remove the fuse in this building, you can actually process up to 10 kilowatts in there. But at the same time, it's very efficient when it's just idling. So this 3.2 kilowatt amplifier is just using 30 watts if it's nothing going through it. So this is where we store all the raw materials for our products. So we have to have a lot of storage because we assemble everything here. So we have to have it on stock before we assemble it, and then again after we've assembled it. And that building over there is also, it looks like this inside, so we won't go over there, but we have a lot of storage. And because we have so many products that have been in production for so many years, we almost always only add new products and never take anybody out. So that means the storage just keeps going up all the time.
So again, as we spoke about earlier, natural light is very plentiful, and we have it both here from the window and from considerable amount of window above us too. And it just makes it so much easier in production when you can truly see what you're doing instead of guessing a little bit.
And of course, we also still have components all the way back from the first Millennium amplifiers that we can fix if they come in for service. Mm-hmm. Some of them are more than 20 years old now. So of course, something will eventually happen to them. Something will need to be fixed, like capacitors that dry out over time or something like that. So where we're walking into now is where we have our service and we have our quality department. We get all of our products back here for service if we can. There are some countries where it's very difficult to get products out of, and then we try to send fully mounted PCBs to them so they can just change the PCBs. But the reason why we want to keep as much service in-house is, of course, to learn from any errors that we see and not do them next time we do something. But it's also because everything that comes in for service actually goes through the production tests again after it's been serviced. Because sometimes products come in and people think that there's one thing that's failing, but there might be something that's failing that they haven't seen. And when we then put it through the exact same production test as when it was all new, then we catch all these things. So when it's been in here for service, you get more than just that one thing fixed. So that's why if it is any way possible, we try to get it here. So this is our lab for our hardware engineers mostly. So they can go in here and they can measure and they can blow things up without killing anybody else. So that's what we have this room for. And something like we're building here is active cooled resistors for testing very powerful power amplifiers. Because when we go for approval, like safety MC approval, they have to be running in situations that are practically the same as you would have out in the field. And of course, a lot of these houses do not have equipment to have an 8-channel amplifier, putting a lot of power into these resistors. So we have to provide everything for them to be able to test it. So that's what we're building here for a very powerful amplifier that we are developing.
One of the things that comes through really clearly, Thomas, about the Steinway Lyngdorf approach is that so many of the things that you're doing in-house by yourselves because you need it to be right for a specific application. And the world, of course, is to some extent a parts bin at this point. And if you're always simply going out to say, okay, let's find a part that's like this, let's find a part that is like that, you may never come up with a solution that's like this one because you're not thinking about, let's sit down and design what we really want instead of just, let me get that part off that shelf. And, at a quality level that your products operate at, in the spirit of, the Steinway pianos that are legendary in terms of their quality, this is really exactly the kind of approach that I would hope to see. But, when you tour a factory, you don't necessarily always see this kind of approach.
No. A lot of this, when you get to very powerful stuff, requires that you do your own test equipment.
Yeah.
Because it's normally not even thought of that you need this. So, for example, having our 8-channel run at full power on a 110 volt situation. I mean, here we have 230 volts. So how do we simulate 120 volt? And then you need a power supply that can do that. And, even we have very powerful an AC source, programmable AC source, and it's huge, but that's not enough. I mean, we need special fuses in front, and we need a lot of things to just test that. And that's just an 8-channel. I mean, we have bigger amplifiers on the way. So, yeah, it requires a lot of things that you don't think about because we're doing everything here, and we need to test it in live situations.
We hope that you've enjoyed this factory tour at Steinway Lyngdorf. We were so excited to be able to come here to Skive, Denmark, and do this. And we're glad that you've been able to come along with us and experience a little bit of how the products wind up having the level of quality that they do, both in terms of performance and in terms of design, as well as, of course, in terms of longevity. And I'm really glad, Thomas, that you got into the bit about keeping the stock of parts for as long as you tend to keep them, because in so many cases, if something develops a problem years down the road, people would rather get it fixed rather than having to go out and buy a whole new one. So thank you again for watching this video with us. We've loved having you along, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.